Oh guys, an Islamic cleric was spotted in a video saying that Nigeria will divide if America insists that the Sharia law should be abolished in Nigeria. He also warned Christians who are supporting Donald Trump to end Sharia law in Nigeria, that Christians are inviting problem for themselves. Now, I'm going to read this headline just for you to see how this headline that says Arewa source, how it was captured by Arewa source. Here it says, America asking for the removal of Sharia in Nigeria, and Nigerian Christians supporting this must know that they are inviting a problem that could divide this country. This is the Islamic cleric. He said, those who are supporting America to end Sharia law, you guys are inviting a problem that is going to divide Nigeria. And guess what? A Nigerian replied him and said, let's divide, long overdue. The North is too much of a liability in this useless marriage, guys. A northern cleric is threatening that Nigeria will divide if America insists that Sharia law should be abolished. And this other person is saying, let's divide, that the North is not contributing in any positive way to the country. Guys, this is it. Now, I'm going to take you through other headlines as regards to the insecurity happening in Nigeria. See how this headline also captured Nigerian Christians supporting removal of Sharia law must know they are inviting problem. Islamic cleric, just the one I've just told you now. Now, talking about insecurity, you must have heard that some people were kidnapped in a celestial church in Ondo State. Now, this headline is saying that there were 5 pregnant women were among those kidnapped. See how he captured it. 5 pregnant women were kidnapped last night from Celestial Church of Christ in Uzo-Owo local government area, the home state of Sheyi Law, who claims that Nigeria is now safest state on earth, guys. Pregnant women were taken by these terrorists, guys. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is the reason why the US is saying that Sharia law should be abolished, because Sharia law encourages violence, killing of people, especially for those who do not believe in Islam. You are seen as an infidel, and they believe that Allah will reward you if you kill the unbelievers. Guys, this is unbelievable. These terrorists could take pregnant women, 5 of them, into the bush, and we don't know their whereabouts now. Now, this headline is saying Kwara State to spend 180 million naira for Governor Abdulaziz soundproof generator amid rising terror attacks. You know that Kwara State has been in the news lately, like on a daily basis, and see where the priority of the governor lies: getting a soundproof generator, guys. These APC leaders, they take Nigerians for granted a lot. Now, I'm going to allow you to take a look at this reaction coming from Arise TV as regards to the kidnap that happened in Ondo State, the kidnap of these people from Celestial Church. Take your time, watch this video, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more updates. Now, take a look.
In this deeply troubling story from Ondo State, where gunmen invaded a Celestial Church of Christ in Uzo-Owo local government area of the state, abducting about 6 worshippers in the early hours of Wednesday morning while the service was underway. The attack, which occurred at approximately 12:50 a.m., sent the congregation into a panic as the armed men forcefully whisked the victims away.
A scene of the kidnapping yesterday at Celestial show. So we learned from source that 7 people were taken away, but we were still on the investigation now. So I'm vouching for the whole OIC to take note of this and also pray for the release of one of our members, which have been abducted by the kidnappers, that they should find mercy and grace so they can be released.
Every day, kidnapping up and down. We are in Owo, Benin Expressway now. They block road because of they went to church yesterday. Láti lọ gbé àwọn èèyàn 5 nínú ìjọ tó ń ṣe ìṣọ́ òru. This has been too much in Nigeria. And how much is our security vote? Our security vote can buy this coaster that we are saying to track all these people where they are going. Our security vote is enough to buy this coaster and track them.
And he's absolutely right. This has become too much, Rufai. I mean, this is unfortunate. Worshippers should never have to fear for their lives in the house of God. Well, the Ondo State Police Command confirmed that operatives in collaboration with the Nigerian Army and local vigilante groups immediately mobilized to the scene and launched coordinated rescue operations, with one of the kidnapped victims successfully rescued. Well, a suspected informant linked to the attack has also been arrested. Well, this latest abduction comes just 4 days after terrorists kidnapped a couple in Akure North. Well, we'll pray for the safe return of all the victims. Rufai, like, you know, that eyewitness mentioned, our security votes are enough to even buy helicopters to, you know, for surveillance and all of that. This is one too many. And, you know, we'll continue to highlight these stories for the security forces at this point. I know we are understaffed, but still.
Oji, it's one day, one trouble. Yes, the president recently talked about state police, but even if you put state police, there's a culture that has festered. If you put state police, I'm not sure you're going to see the result real quickly, because there are also other fears. People use them for their own political game. But there's a culture that has festered. Imagine, you know, when I keep saying there's no security in the country, people think I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, just so what happened, people had to stay on the road for many hours before the security agents came. And after they came, what could they recover? Just only one person. What about the other person, the other person that have been kidnapped? And this is within Ondo State. Recently, Iba Gani Adams, the generalismo, the Aaron Okangofo of Yoruba land, was also talking about the same. And this is a recurring decimal. As it's happening in Kwara, it's happening in Ondo, it's happening in parts of the north, it's happening in every part of this country as we speak today. Have they been able to nip it in the bud? No.
Question.
These guys always go scot-free. They will post ransom. They will get paid the ransom. You remember a couple of years ago when the former Minister of Communication was saying, let's register for NIN so that it's going to be able to fight kidnapping and everything. We've registered for NIN, national identity now. Kidnappers still go scot-free with this activity. Right. So it's a failure of the security architecture. Even if we praise them for time and say, okay, they've done well in some area, but just, I mean, this is indicative of a country where you don't have any security architecture in place to be able to stem the tide. And it's a ticking time bomb.
It is.
But we don't know who's next. They've enveloped most areas in the southwest.
How far is Ondo State from Lagos, Rufai?
See.
No, I want to know, like, how is it?
If the coastal road is effective,
3 to 4 hours.
It's less than that, Ayo. If the coastal road is effective, in fact, there's a bridge route where you can do Ondo to Lekki in 45 minutes. It's the same coastal area now. In fact, I remember when Arakuri was still alive, he came on this show and he was talking about a deal of a bridge he wanted to do with NDDC that was going to take 45 minutes from Ondo to this Lekki corridor here.
Yeah.
What are you saying? David, look at Ogun States. Look at Oyo States. Most of this part, you are having infiltrations going on.
This is becoming alarming. I mean, the idea about
it is not if the coastal road is effective. The coastal road is still under construction. When it is completed.
Oh, when it's completed, it will be 45 minutes. I mean,
so I'm not sure that bridge I was talking about, that NDDC was going to bridge, was part of the outlay.
But even this new design, when it is completed, it will shrink travel time.
It will shrink travel time.
We used to go to Calabar 12 hours.
Yes.
Even Calabar will be like 4 hours.
But it's becoming
5 hours.
alarming, and these kidnappings are happening in the churches at this point. I mean, 12 a.m. in the middle of prayers. This is, unfortunate. Meanwhile, the Department of State Services has announced the successful arrest of Sani Yusuf, the sixth suspect linked to the devastating 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, which claimed the lives of 40 worshippers. According to a security source, DSS officials had been on Yusuf's trail for years, finally arresting him in the Igwosa community in Ovia North local government area of the state. Yusuf was a highly ranked commander in ISWAP and had briefly relocated to Kanu after the Owo church attack before moving to Edo State. According to the source, he confessed to having been involved in the planning and execution of the massacre. To this day, the Owo church attack remains one of the deadliest in the southwest region, with gunmen setting off explosives and shooting at worshippers during a Pentecost Sunday service in June 2022. 2022. Now, we commend the DSS on this. So far, 5 other suspects in connection to the attack are already on trial. And with this latest arrest, it is clear that the secret police are making real progress in holding the perpetrators accountable. More importantly, they are making it public, and that's the transparency that matters. That's what we need to see. But, you know, speaking more on security, meanwhile, kidnapped victims reportedly from the February 3rd terrorist attack on Woro and Nuku communities in Kaima local government area of Kwara State, where almost 200 people were killed and 176 abducted, have been paraded in a very disturbing video circulating on social media. The abductees include children, elderly men, and women in the middle of an unidentified forest. The perpetrators of the attack have been identified as Fulani-linked terrorists, with this video serving as a stark reminder of the fact that they are still living in captivity with no clarity as to when they may regain their freedom. You know, in one hand, we commend the DSS, you know, for the arrest. And, you know, they have been on the trail of this ISWAP leader. I mean, at this point, also would like to charge the DSS, the security forces, to also get those abducted victims. I know that they are doing what they're supposed to do, but all we pray on this table is that these victims return home alive and safe. You know, I guess, Dr. Abati, you can comment on both before I move to the next story.
Very quickly. Now, I think we see a justification here for state police, which the president was just talking about when he met with state governors for breaking of fast a few days ago. Perhaps if we have state police and you have, you know, in all the states of the Federation already endorsed by 36 states and the FCT, perhaps we'll have an improvement. And the president has said they will send an executive bill to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly is also favorably disposed. We can try it. All this talk about governors will abuse it and all of that, we'll look at it.
Yes.
After all, in this same Ondo state, under Governor Aketi, that's Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of SAN, you know, it was this insecurity that led to the issue of Amotekun and other similar initiatives in other parts of the country. Second, this is also a case, it seems to me, for collaboration.
Yes.
The security agencies have always been saying, look, security challenge is a collective responsibility. Look at the Yusuf that you mentioned.
Yes.
He was involved in our attack in June 2022. He was involved in kidnapping in Kaduna. He was involved in the killing of soldiers in Suleja in Niger State. And then the man just killed people in 2022, and he went to Igosa community in Edo State, and has been hiding there for the past 4 years before the DSS, focusing on the problem and, you know, remaining vigilant, fished him out.
Yes.
Perhaps if the people in Igosa had, you know, given police or the DSS information before now, they will have said there is a stranger in this town, this sleepy community. Where is he coming from? So there is also a role. Now, and why our local government? In 2022, it was our local government area. This year, it is Uso. In the same our local government area. Is there something about that location that is the problem? Very that has to be investigated. Because we have Professor Akintenewa, a member of this family in that Owo, and he's also a Celestial chief. So when I saw Celestial Church, I said, the first person that came to my mind is that nothing must happen to our professor.
Nothing must happen to our professor.
You know, security is important in that place just as in other places. Yes. And then to just close the subject, it's about this idea of night vigil, early morning prayers. There's nothing against people worshiping and exercising their right to freedom of thought. But do you know that some church denominations, I think the Anglican Church, for a time, I don't know whether the order is still there, I said, people should not come to church for early morning service. They should not do night vigil. You know, just do it during daytime so that you protect yourself. Even the Church of Christ, or, you know, in Nigeria, may have to re-strategize. This idea of going to...
so they should deny their own liberties because the state has provided security. What you're saying?
No. I'm not saying
religious oppression.
No. I'm not
what about the people that kidnap driving on the road?
I'm not saying...
They should not travel in the afternoon
I'm not saying they should not worship.
That's what you're saying.
They should not worship, but heaven helps those who help themselves.
No, that's not
the final challenge is for government to pay more. I'm not denying their right. You know, I understand what the Constitution says about freedom of thought. But the bigger challenge is for government to solve the problem.
Yes, that is the main
to
point.
focus more on security and to make sure that people like Yusuf don't run from Kanu to Igosa and hide.
All right.
So
we want to see more of that. The government must do their job. Like we earlier commended the DSS. We want to see more of this sort of arrest. And I hope that those kidnapped victims return home unharmed. Now to an exclusive interview making waves internationally. Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has pushed back strongly against claims that Christians are being systematically exterminated in Nigeria. The First Lady told CBN News in Washington that the violence in Nigeria is rooted in poverty, terrorism, and political instability rather than religious persecution. She warned that labeling it genocide could actually embolden the very terrorists carrying out the attacks. Let's take a look.
Is there genocide in Nigeria?
I don't think so. I don't think so because when you look at these areas, it was first the Herders conflict, and it has been there for years. And when you're coming into an environment that are mainly Christians, when you attack them because you go into their farmlands, and then when you have terrorists and people kidnapping for money, and when the world is throwing a narrative that is Christian genocide, they will now hit on that and begin to attack churches. And you should remember, we are getting into the election year. So there are a lot of things going on that, we don't believe that, it's really genocide the way it's being portrayed.
All right, this is a deeply complex and sensitive issue. The First Lady's words have sparked a debate both at home and among Nigerians in the diaspora. As critics argue, the numbers tell a different story. According to Open Doors World Watch list, over 70% of Christians killed worldwide in recent years have died in Nigeria. Ayo, the First Lady, is re-echoing the federal government stance that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Your thoughts?
I don't think we should be surprised at that. She's married to the president. I don't expect her to go on an international platform like that and say that, yes, there's Christian genocide, when the government's position has consistently been that there isn't. However, what I would prefer for this government, and perhaps the First Lady in using her soft power diplomacy, in granting interviews to convince the international community, particularly the United States of America, is to provide alternative facts. The people, the constituents themselves, people who live in these areas, have consistently said that there is, in fact, Christian genocide and, persecution based on their faith. The Christian Association of Nigeria has spoken out. The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria has spoken out. There are religious leaders in the Middle Belt who have spoken out. And this is not just under the Tinubu administration. It's been there consistently before. And the only time their voices were amplified was when President Trump made that tweet. It has been there consistently. The videos of mass graves have been on consistently. And so what I would prefer, rather than just saying, I don't think so, and I mean, she's entitled to her personal opinion on that, but would be provide facts. This is the reason why I believe this isn't, because the others have shown proof. They've shown mass graves. They've talked about churches being burnt. Now they're even advising us not to go and worship in the way that we want to worship. Dr. Wati says stop the church. You can't ask people not to express their religious rights based on violence. It means that you are confirming the fact that the state has failed in providing security for Christians in the country. And so, like I said, she would say what she would say. But the truth is that the more they deny it, the more they do an injustice to the number of Christians who have been killed in the Middle Belt, in the north, in different parts of Nigeria, and the more they are playing ostrich with facing the problem. Right. I thought this was a fine moment for the Nigerian government to finally tackle this challenge and this issue that a number of Christians have cried out for a very long time. But unfortunately, it seems that they're taking the way out of just denial, but the issue persists. I'm not saying, because two truths can exist at the same time, that there are no more complex issues around herder clashes and all, but we're saying alongside that is a particular target at a particular Christian group. I also want to say that can she grant the local media interviews as well? We've seen a lot of international appearances. It would be great to have her engage with Nigerian journalists as well and let us, fact for fact, conversation for conversation, and talk about this.
Okay, in this same interview, I want to read a part of it. She personally recounted facing persecution due to her interfaith marriage, being a Pentecostal and married to President Bola Tinubu. Specifically, a Muslim cleric publicly called her heathen and suggested that she should be stoned for openly practicing Christianity. But she noted that many who defended her against this threat were from the north, highlighting nuanced religious dynamics. Doesn't she answer the question for us?
Yes, she actually.
If it's a country that is free of persecution, should she marrying a Muslim be a problem in the first place? You see, with her own mouth, despite the fact that they try to deny, you see, hey God, Ayinla Omowura said something famously. Ayinla Omowura said, "Asoju oro iro ni mu wa." When you talk too much, you start to lie. The truth is, in this case, with her own mouth, she has come out to say that she herself also faced persecution. They keep saying there's no persecution in this country. Let's say the truth.
As a student of literature,
yes,
the part of her statement that I would take is a statement that religious issues in Nigeria are far more complex and nuanced than it is presented. The emphasis is on the nuance. In other words, there isn't a single narrative, to just say, Christians are being persecuted. What she's saying really is that there are many dimensions to the story rather than a single narrative.
She confirmed persecution.
You are right, Rufai.
I said all of us are involved. The major challenge is insecurity in Nigeria, and the Nigerian government is trying to address it by seeking the cooperation of the United States and other countries. Solving the problem is where the challenge is, not about personal testimony.
I disagree with the Nigerian government approach, Oji, please. Is the fact that they are not addressing the problem by partnering with America alone. They are addressing the problem by going on a propaganda spin. Dr. Abati, we here, we are not children. We see it. We know about the $9 million being spent. If you have a problem, you don't need to spend $9 million to be going to talking to CBN and conservative media. Fix the problem. When you fix the problem, we Nigerians will go ahead and say the problem.
No, the emphasis is not propaganda.
It's propaganda.
Are you also aware, as somebody who has a microphone, that there are troops, American troops that are here. There are countries collaborating with Nigeria. That's part of the effort.
All right. Can I moderate this plan? Can I moderate this
propaganda.
May I moderate this panel?
That's a one-sided narrative.
May I moderate this panel?
Please go ahead.
May I? All right. Thank you. You are absolutely right, Dr. Abati, about the nuance in her statement. And you're also right, Rufai, about the fact that she did admit persecution.
Simplicity.
But what she actually is against is to term the whole issue around the word genocide. Well, the First Lady also used the Washington visit to thank President Trump for the Christmas Day missile strikes against terrorist holdouts, saying it was the first Christmas in recent memory where no church was attacked. I believe
Nigeria happened to you. It happens to the Nigerian every day. It's just the stage of our consciousness of what is happening to us that differs. Nigeria happens to the Nigerian every day. We seek to prevent Nigeria from happening to us. Sometime in the morning, you find Nigerians waking up and crouching on the floor and praying against all the dangers of the country that they have built. So Nigeria is happening to them on a daily basis. And it happens to me as well. If I had to get up in my house at 4:29 this morning in order to make a court date in Ibadan, when I shouldn't even be here in the first place, it begins to tell you about how Nigeria happens to us variously. Every time you have to do something that was not meant to be done, but you have to do it to survive the country in which you live. That is Nigeria happening to you. When you have to get out of your house as early as 5 o'clock in the morning to make your office for 8 o'clock, that is Nigeria happening to you. When you have to pay out of pocket for children's school fees when the education is meant to be free even at primary school level, or these children are going to schools that are best teaching illiteracy and you have to go out of pocket to get good schools, that is Nigeria happening to you. Nigeria happens to the Nigerian on a daily basis. Whether you are poor, rich, members of the ruling class, or one of their victims. Nigeria happens to all of us every day. It's the degree to which we are conscious of what is happening to us that differs from person to person.
Degree of consciousness.
Yeah, degree of consciousness.
What does that mean?
You have some nebulists in place of citizens, persons who are sleepwalking through life, perpetually making excuses for their oppressors and ruiners instead of focusing on what is happening to them and how to prevent that from being passed down to the next generation. They would rather make excuses on behalf of those who are ruining their lives. So it's a function of consciousness. If you are unaware of the fact that you are oppressed, you are more receptive to the idea of oppression. But the more aware you become, the more conscious you are, the more you can articulate the condition of the victim, you become a danger to the oppressive system, and you become an irritant to those who have become accepting of oppression. So,
well, in your book, you accepted that there's the weaponization of ignorance.
Yeah. The fact that I can identify it is suggestive of the fact that I'm not affected by that weaponized ignorance. The average Nigerian sit down on a daily basis and they are busy consuming news written for them by those who are looking to shape the narrative and focus their attention away from the real issues. They are told that it's the Christians. They are told that it's the Muslims. And these are coming through supposedly credible news channels. You do not have a media that questions any longer. Largely, the Nigerian media has become complicit. So who is teaching anybody? The weaponized ignorance comes in multiple fashion. Today in Nigeria, you don't have a national curriculum that is known to all. You don't have a national education curriculum that we can interrogate. It comes out piecemeal at the discretion of whoever is administering the system whenever they care, which is why you are getting all kind of funny textbooks coming out and being flagged. Nobody can tell you that this is the national curriculum. That is the beginning of the weaponization of ignorance. I identified weaponized ignorance for the first time in 1994 as an undergraduate. That was the first time I used that phrase. I could see the deliberate under-education of the Nigerian child. So if we're talking weaponized ignorance, you must understand that it's not a one-line item. It's a systemic thing. The weaponized ignorance has affected the trade. You don't have tradesmen any longer. Where you have them, they are barely literate. You have tailors who do not even understand the geometry of the human body. So they sew for you sometimes. You wear a shirt and you find that one part is taller than the other side and then it's looking like a carpenter sewed the shirt. That is part of the weaponized ignorance. Everything is degraded. The human capacity to imagine, to function, and to even execute instructions have been degraded when you deliberately ignore to train people to the point where a country as rich and blessed as Nigeria has over 130 million children. Those are the ones between the ages of 5 to 14 out of school, 30 million. What kind of future are you expecting from children that you are refusing to train?
So will you want to blame the ignorant for not understanding that the oppressor is after him?
You see, the Yorubas have a proverb I would attempt to translate. And what it says is that "Eni tó gbọ́n la kọ́ ẹni tó gọ̀." The wise will teach the ignorant. But that presumes the readiness of the ignorant to learn. Unfortunately for us in Nigeria, especially those of us who presume to know, who are looking to teach, we're competing with a system that has weaponized even religion. Religion in its root comes from the Latin word religare. or you go to Old French, religio. Both of them means the same thing, to bind. But what is being bound by religion is the human imagination, which is the seat of our creativity. You then come to a place like Nigeria where religion has been weaponized to the point where charlatans are touting all kind of funny precepts and principles and dogmas are being taught, and people are embracing them as truth. People are telling you they enter toilet in one European country to come out in the toilet in another European country. People are telling you to fast and pray for Nigeria when they didn't fast and pray to build all the prayer cities and redemption camps that they are building all over the place. People are telling you to embrace Sharia. Meanwhile, the Sharia that they are embracing here does not build the kind of fantastic countries that have been built in the Emirates or even in Saudi Arabia. Religion has become a destructive force, an excuse for not doing anything, for inaction, for cowardice. So when you talk about ignorance, you must understand that in the Nigerian context, the ignorance that is already weaponized against the people by the refusal to educate or by the intention to miseducate is compounded by the fact that religion is layered on top of that, and it does not promote the use of the human intellect. If anything, it says leave everything to God.
I have read your books. The Imperatives of the Nigerian Revolution and this, Do Not Die in Their War. Look at this. If you read these books, you will walk through the mind of the author, Delifa Rotimi. So having read your work, I come out with the conclusion that he is a radical intellectual. Then if he's an intellectual and he resides in an ignorant nation, has he failed?
Well, let me put it this way. When I started out, I imagined that I could change my country by sheer force of persuasion. And then I found very quickly that I embraced what I these days describe as the Elijah complex. The Elijah complex is the one that leads you into believing that you are the only one that knows how to do it. And if you can't do it, then it simply can't be done. Remember, Elijah was busy calling fire from heaven, burn the offering, pour water and all. He did all those mighty works, and then he heard that Jezebel was after him, and he ran to the cave of Adullam and he started crying, I'm the only one that is left of all your God said, shut up. I got 7,500 you know nothing about. So I learned very early in life that I must never presume that simply because of the insignificance of my own contribution or my inability to dent the mountain that I see in front of me, I learned not to despair. I learned very quickly that I should just play my own role. Other people will do their own part. It might be in this season or it might be in a time to come. I learned long time ago not to allow myself to be bothered by the frustrations of my environment. The fact of the matter is that I take comfort in knowing that I speak timeless truths. I write timeless truths. If and when the time comes for a generation that will make use of what I have written, of the things I am saying, they will find their way to rectitude.
This generation is already reading you.
I had to get away from assuming that this generation would do it. When I was embracing my Elijah complex, I was assuming that because I see hopelessness in this generation, I see a defeated people. I see a people born defeated, willing to accept all kind of madness. Even when you speak on their behalf, they are the first to cast you down for simply having the audacity to say what they are refusing to say, even though you are speaking to their pains.
Do you care?
The point where I stopped caring was when I arrived at the position that I'm actually not writing for this generation. I'm not talking for this generation.
You said you are writing for history.
I'm writing for posterity. I'm writing for another generation that will come on. The truth is the truth is the truth, regardless of where and when it is spoken.
But I'm saying you have written for this generation.
I have written. It is for this generation to decide whether what I am saying works for them. I know that what I have said, the things I have written, are found untruthful precepts. Now, whether my society is accepting of the truth or not is a different ballgame entirely. But I have evolved to a point, perhaps of arrogance, where I am not bothered by the acceptance of my society. I couldn't care less whether this society embraces me or accepts the truth of what I have said to them, because I know of the timelessness of truth and the godly nature of truth. I know that as long as the things I have written are found on truth, it will resonate with a generation that desires to return to normalcy. They would also be able to retrace their steps back to the point where we lost the battle, if we lose the battle. But it is critical that we tell these truths. It was a wise man that said that the truth that is untold is not the truth. It is only the truth we tell that is the truth. If you know a truth and you prefer to keep quiet and you found a reason to be silent, the reality is that that truth is not told. Truth dies in darkness. I think it was the New York Times that had that as their masthead at some point in the past, or maybe Washington Post. I'm not sure which one now. But truth dies in darkness. If you do not articulate the truth, it dies.
But this generation loves you.
See, this generation looks for messiahs. I am not a messiah. I'm just Delifaro to me, another Nigerian, warts and all, with all the weaknesses of every other human being. I don't need them to love me. I need them to act on the truth that they know. We find it very comfortable and convenient to point fingers at our ruiners. But the reality is that the true change that Nigeria desires or demands or needs has to come from the individual coming to the knowledge of the fact that we cannot continue like this. If there is no personal regeneration, there cannot be national regeneration.
If there is ignorance, we need a lot of mental work to drive them.
There are two levels of ignorance.
Okay.
There is the ignorance that is visited on a man, and then there is the willful ignorance. The most damaging of ignorance that I have seen in Nigeria is the willful ignorance. The one where a man is confronted with the truth. He is right there in front of him. He can see it. You've articulated it. The evidences of his own eyes, his ears, and his God-given brain is suggestive of the fact that he should do a course correction. But the person's ability to process the truth has been impaired either by religion, ethnicity, or sometimes a combination of both. They simply cannot process the information. You're telling someone that the fact that this man is from your ethnic nation does not mean it's the best thing for our country. And you say, no, it's our turn. Yes, it's our turn. I've heard you. But would you employ this person in your poultry if you were running a poultry? Say, like, would you have this person as your son-in-law? You say, God forbid. But you want this person in charge of the Commonwealth? The biggest problem we have in Nigeria, yes, we have ignorance, but the willfulness of the ignorance, the deliberate refusal to be enlightened, to be educated. You even see certificated morons, people with PhDs, master degree, and they are refusing the evidence of their own eyes. That has nothing to do with, it's not plain ignorance. That's deliberate. It's intentional. Somebody is being intentionally blind. I'm saying remove the blindfold in your eyes. I can see the look at this. No, I've been told it's white. Okay, they told you it's white. I'm showing you it's red. You can see it. You say, no, I don't want to look at it. That is willful ignorance. And that is the most common kind of ignorance in Nigeria.
How did you develop your consciousness?
My brother, sometimes I wish I knew. If I know how to get rid of it, I'll get rid of it, because ignorance is bliss. I've carried this around with me since before I was 17 years old. Let's just say sense was slapped into me. I recounted the incident in Do Not Die in Their War. where a policeman slapped me when I was in Oscars. That was what slapped me awake to the reality of the country in which I live. I have always had this romantic view of life. I grew up a bookworm. And if you're a reader, you're really bound to a geographical location. So I read all kinds of books and I saw myself as a citizen. I had all the lofty ideas of citizenship in my head, all kinds of lofty ambitions for the country, Nigeria. We were the ones termed the greater tomorrow. I entered secondary school in 78. We were the ones who Uncle Bola came and informed that we were the young pioneers. So we had lofty ideas in our heads, and I grew up with that. Nigeria was supposed to be a great country. All kind of lofty slogans were very, very trendy in my youth. Operation Feed the Nation, all kind of big words. So I grew up believing that a great country, the giant of Africa, we were the ones who were there fighting in Swapo, in Namibia, offering succor to the South Africans. That was the Nigeria in which I grew up. I grew up in a Nigeria where when I went to UCH as a young boy, maybe must have been about 7, 8, I still have the memory. Nurses in dainty dresses with dainty caps on their head, they will bring my medicine in cups, plastic dispensing cups in UCH. I can still remember. I went back to the same UCH a few years ago before when my late father-in-law was admitted there. It stinks to high heaven. Nothing new, just you find them painting a sepulcher. That is the Nigeria that we have today. So it's, to be conscious is very easy if you had grown up in my generation, because there were too many good things happening all around us. We didn't know at the time that we were merely witnessing the beginning of the decadence of Nigeria, but it was too easy to be conscious.
What kind of books did you read?
Name it, I read it. I went to Fidelity Grammar School, and I think before I was even in Form 3, I'd read practically every book in that library that wasn't a science textbook.
That wasn't a science
If it wasn't a science textbook, I'd read it.
Did you read books on power?
Everything and anything that was... I was just a voracious reader, and I enjoyed reading.
And what did reading do to your mind?
It blew my mind up. I lost all sense of boundaries. You can't be a reader and be bound to a geographical location. When I was in Fidelity Grammar School, they had a very rich library of Commonwealth literature.
In secondary school?
In secondary school. Commonwealth literature. So folk tales from New Zealand, from Australia, from Canada, all kind of Commonwealth countries donated books, literature books, compilation, antonyms. You had all kind of folk tales, volumes and volumes of them. It was fun. It was an escape. I'm right there in the bushes of Fiditi, but I'll be in the backwaters of New Zealand and Australia. I read Okuberry Finn. I read all those books when I was much. By the time we were in like Form 4, there was no James Ali Chase to read any longer, because there was nothing else to do but read.
So while you were reading, did you at any time feel you could change the world?
You know, the mind of a child does not embrace impossibilities. A child naturally believes that anything it can imagine can be achieved. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to change Nigeria. I didn't think there was anything to change. I wasn't conscious enough to realize there was anything to change. I just grew up believing that this country had all the potentials to become one of the greatest in the world. It wasn't until the time when we were entering universities in the mid-80s. I entered university in 1985. It wasn't until around that time that you became more exposed to the madness of Nigeria. My brain opening slap was received in 1984.
In Ife?
In Ife. Well, that was 83, 84. That was when I got my brain openings. No, 84, 85. But I entered last week, 85, 86. So it was during my time in Oscars that I received that slap. What that slap did to me was that it forced me to recalibrate the way I engaged with my country. I hadn't done anything. I was merely going to class to read, even though there had been some unrest earlier in the day. And I walked into a policeman who was assigned to the neighborhood to keep the peace. so that students who are intent on rioting would not be able to riot. It was clear to anyone looking at me that I was going to read. I had my books on me. The man saw me. Simply because I didn't run like everyone he might have been encountering, he slapped me so hard that my books fell down. And the way he looked at me, I knew that even if he had cared to shoot, nothing would have happened. And by the time we grew older, we heard that multiple times, uttered by law enforcement agents, "I'll shoot you and nothing will happen." So from that moment, I realized that it wasn't the nice rosy world that I imagined I was living in. So I became more conscious of all the madness that I had probably overlooked or not seen. And the more I looked, the more I saw.
Your books fell down when he slapped you?
Oh, yes, he did.
Did you pick up the books?
In all honesty, I can't even remember now, if the truth be told. The only thing I remember is that slap rewired my brains. It was a brain rewiring exercise. Any illusion I ever had about Nigeria disappeared in that moment. Any illusion of citizenship I had ever harbored evaporated with that slap. I knew from that moment that I live in a criminal empire where I actually am not deserving of any right as far as the operators of the system are concerned.
And how did you make up your mind to survive in that state?
Put it this way. The real victim is the person who is unconscious or unaware of his state of existence. I am a Nigerian. I wear no glasses in relation to my country. I see Nigeria in its ugly nudity at any point in time.
Ugly nudity?
Oh, very ugly country.
Your country?
Oh, very, very ugly country.
Are you ugly?
Unfortunately, every Nigerian is rendered ugly by his circumstances unless we continue to lie to ourselves. I spent 3 weeks in prison. I had no business being there. And I saw multiple persons who had no business in that prison either.
In Ekiti?
Yes. Multiple persons. There were 11 persons in my cell. I vouchsafed that at least 9 of them had no business being there.
What were they doing there?
The Nigerian state decided that they should spend some time there. Maybe somebody offended someone, maybe some civil case that should have been settled in a civil manner or in civil court was criminalized because somebody knew policeman.
She did have a successful visit there in Washington. Let's now turn our attention to the drama surrounding the exit of the outgoing Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. The Nigerian police force has now been forced to respond to allegations first raised by activist Omoyele Sowore that 100 million naira from Anambra State security vote account was transferred into the personal bank account of Kayode Egbetokun's son, Victor Egbetokun. Back in January, Showere's Sahara reporters first published the explosive investigative report detailing transactions from September 2025, alleging the funds were moved from the Anambra State security vote account at Sterling Bank into Victor's personal Zenith Bank account in 4 tranches of 25 million naira each. The report further alleged that while the funds were electronically reversed on September 29th, they were subsequently withdrawn in cash and redeposited into the same account days later. Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin, speaking on live television, dismissed any insinuation of wrongdoing, insisting that the transaction was nothing more than a banking error that was promptly detected and reversed.
It doesn't really make any sense for you to just wake up and commence a campaign of calumny against him. Oh, you could remember when he said, 100 million naira was paid into the account of the son of the IGP. And you know, I called the son of the IGP immediately to find out what happened, and he explained that yes, I saw 100 million in my account, and I told my account officer to reverse the money immediately, which he did. He printed out his statement of account, he showed me, he sent it to me, I saw it, which he did. Only for Sahara reporters to say, oh yes, the money was returned, then cash was withdrawn again and paid into the IGP son's account again. And I saw the statement of account. There was nothing like that. In fact, exposing the details of the account and everything, the young man was forced to close down that account so that people would not use it to commit any other form of mischief. In any case, he has written a petition to the EFCC for that allegation to be investigated. And if it turns out that it's false, then we can invoke the EFCC would invoke the Cyber Crimes Act for cyberbullying.
All right, Rufai, I know you have a lot to say, but let me take Omoyele Showere's tweet. In response to that interview, he wrote, This Boy Scout, Benjamin Hundeyin, who was illegally promoted to ACP by the now fired illegal IGP, admitted that Victor Egbetokun received 100 million naira from the Anambra Security Fund by accident. And because I spoke about it, Egbetokun was going to use the EFCC chairman to charge me with cyber crime. Benjamin Hundeyin should be stripped of his illegally awarded promotion and returned to work as a divisional transport officer, DTO, at a regular police station. These incompetent people should not be allowed anywhere near any serious formation. And you know, Moyale Sowore has a way with his words. But you know, he was the first to release this, story. And, you know, the police spokesperson did confirm that it actually happened. But, you know, Rufai, go ahead.
You see, Beno, you are my person, no. But yeah, that example, that analogy you give, Beno, I know it's your guy before. You will have not just put mouth in the matter. I know you are spokesperson, no, but that your argument no make them at all. Like we were asking in the studio, why is it not Dr. Abati's account that transfer mistakenly go to?
I claim it in the name of Jesus.
Dr. Abati, that's fraud.
Prayers answered.
That's fraud. Let Nigerians not mix prayers.
Why is it the son of the Savi IG that security vote money
we go to church to pray
went to famous? Why is it not Dr. Abati's account?
So long.
Did that money go to? Why is it the son of the IG?
All right.
The question we should ask is, you know, I said this thing yesterday.
It's a coincidence.
When I said it, this is Dr. Abati here, I will call you out today. When I said this is Dr. Abati here, Dr. Abati said, that's not the substantive issue. It's the issue that the IG, there's a new IG in town. Whatever may lead to the president leaving it out of it's not substantive. Mm-hmm. Dr. Abati. Bí òwe là ń lùlù àgídìgbò. Ọlọ́gbọ́n ní gbọ́ ọmọràn ní sì mọ̀. It is like the way that we are beating the agidigbo.
What? No. You have to say.
When you engage as a drummer, you are not here to come and
interpret. We have
as a drummer.
Yes.
Just be fair and
balanced. Dr. Abati.
No, tell us in English, please.
No, be away la ludu agidigbo means like, you know, like proverbs, that's what we beat the drum called the agidigbo.
Okay, all right.
And the interpretation connotes a lot. Mm-hmm. Please, with due respect, Egbetokun should be made, if we had a country, because as we speak now, I don't think we have anything similar of a country. If we had a country, by today, Egbetokun should have gone to report himself in front of EFCC.
All right.
This explanation Ben Hundeyin is trying to do on TV that is not working. It should be Egbetokun that should be explaining to the EFCC.
All right.
But nothing will happen.
Okay.
That's the sad part. We don't have a country.
All right. Well, meanwhile, in a video now trending on social media, Sowore confronted Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, in an Abuja conference room during a meeting Umahi allegedly set up with Tracy Nita Ohiri, a woman who was accused the minister of owing her 250 million naira. Sowore released the video on his X account stating that Ohiri was illegally arrested in Lagos on allegations of cyberbullying. She says the minister has owed her millions for over 12 years for campaign materials she provided during his 2014 governorship campaign. Let's take a look at the altercation between Sowore and the minister.
But Minister, this Sowore, you are not supposed to be using police to settle personal scores. You are not supposed to do that.
Have you watched everything she has said?
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the Minister of the Federal Republic. You are not supposed to use police to settle personal scores.
Joey, calm down. What's your own?
I'm talking to you now.
No, you can't be. Listen, let's go.
No, please. Don't push me.
I'll talk to you.
Don't talk to me anyhow.
Who are you?
Don't talk to me anyhow.
All right, in a statement from his media aide on Wednesday, Umahi defended the meeting, saying that the Nigerian police force, acting within its constitutional mandate to maintain law and order and investigate complaints, acted on a petition submitted by the minister's lawyer, arrested her and invited the honorable minister in line with standard procedure for statesmen. He then called this interaction a calculated attempt to provoke him, adding that Ohiri's accounts have been inconsistent, contradictory, and lacking coherence. The minister has denied ever knowing, meeting this woman. He says he doesn't know this woman. I wish we had time to discuss this story, but I guess it's an unfolding story, and we will follow up on it. Well, now under milestones. As Nigeria welcomes its 23rd Inspector General of Police, we take a moment to highlight the remarkable journey of the man President Tinubu has chosen to lead the Nigeria Police Force, Olatunji Rilwan Disu. Born on April 13, 1966, on Lagos Island, Disu attended Holy Cross Cathedral Primary School before proceeding to St. Gregory's College in Lagos. A scholar and a fighter, Disu holds multiple degrees, including a master's in criminology from Lagos State University, and is a third Dan black belt judo practitioner who won a silver medal at the 33rd U.S. Open Judo Championship in 2022. Disu enlisted in the Nigerian Police Force in 1992 as a cadet assistant superintendent, and his very first major posting was as aide-de-camp to the then Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Lagos State, a full-circle moment, as Tinubu, who is now president, is the one who elevated him to the nation's top police job over 3 decades later. His career reads like a masterclass in Nigerian law enforcement, from commanding SARS units across Rivers, Ondo, and Oyo states to leading Nigeria's first police contingent to the African Union peacekeeping mission in Darfur in 2005, where he served as acting chief of staff from 2015 to 2021. He commanded the Lagos Rapid Response Squad, famously rebranding officers as the good guys, reducing crime through community policing. He later headed the Police Intelligence Response Unit, cracking down on fraud syndicates nationwide, while upon assuming office at the force headquarters for his new role as Nigeria's 23rd IGP, Disu described his appointment as humbling and deeply emotional, saying it came completely unexpectedly.
It means a lot to me because I have the love of my profession, the love of the country, and it came at a time I was not expecting it. That made me give thanks to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The President mentioning a lot of activities about me, mentioning areas I've worked, mentioning successes I've recorded as a policeman, brought emotion to me, almost brought me to tears. It shows the President took his time to monitor officers working everywhere in the country, and it shows the President was throwing a challenge at me to go out there and do what I'm known for and ensure that I bring peace, recognition, and co to the country.